Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Bullet on Fire 12 and welcome back to another Call of Duty Advanced Warfare video. Now in today's video what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about Advanced Warfare and give it a review, give it a good look over and share my thoughts and opinions on this game. Because as we all know, Black Ops 3 has just recently released, which means Advanced Warfare's time as the current Call of Duty is now over. And I've seen a few other people that I'm subscribed to do their own version of their own review, but the one thing they all mainly talked about, and actually a lot of people in the COD community, is talk about the multiplayer aspect, because that is essentially what makes up a COD game. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about everything. I'm going to talk about multiplayer, obviously. I'll also talk about the campaign, Exo Zombies, and survival. I'm going to talk about everything. Now I have realised there's a lot to talk about. I've written up a lot of notes of what I want to say, of stuff I've liked, stuff I've disliked. So I've decided we're going to split this topic into two videos. This video will be on campaign, Exo Survival and Zombies, because the multiplayer is where I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff, and that's where, you know, most people have done their reviews, talk about multiplayer. So multiplayer will be in its own video, so stay tuned for that. Because yeah, it's going to be a long video otherwise. But anyway, let's move on to this part of the review, and we'll start with the campaign. That's the first thing we'll talk about. And one thing I like to do when I play Call of Duty, when I get the brand new one, is I like to at least start the campaign. Not obviously, I probably won't finish it before I start doing some multiplayer, but I like to try at least a couple of levels out first, just to see what the game's like. And I thought that the futuristic setting that we're now in, now that we've got sort of suits where we can sort of do double jumps, we've got exosuits, that's what they're called, I quite liked it and how it worked with the campaign. I felt that it worked well using exosuits in the story, and it just sort of summarised the type of future that we may have in the future, way far off from now. Maybe we'll have stuff like that in real life. There's different ways we can sort of perceive how the future is going to look, and it's quite nice to see that sort of thing in a game with exosuits. So I definitely liked the futuristic setting that we had in the Advanced Warfare campaign. And something else I liked was something that we've seen before, was challenges to do in the campaign. We'd seen that in Black Ops 2, but I preferred the challenges that we had in this game because there was 4 different challenges. There was a challenge to get a certain amount of kills, headshots, grenade kills, and the last one was the intel, the special intel that was hidden on the levels that you collect. And I preferred the challenges that we had in this game because it was just those 4 challenges and they stacked across the levels. Whereas in the Black Ops 2 ones, some of the challenges were okay, but all of the levels in Black Ops 2 had their own specific challenge. I think there was a maximum of 10 challenges per level, and to this day I've not finished it because there's just some challenges that I just find way too hard and they just stress me out. And when I look at the challenges that we had in this game, I thought, yes, this is a massive improvement. It should just be these challenges and they just go across all of the levels. And I've played through the campaign twice. Generally what I do is I play through the campaign on the normal difficulty just to get used to it, see what the story has to tell, see what happens, and then afterwards, once I know what's going to happen, then I will hop over to the veteran difficulty and play it through again. And the challenges, they still stay the same, even though you start a brand new game. The challenges are unaffected if you just start the game all over again, just on another difficulty, and I liked that. Challenges were very good, and they were fun to do, and obviously the more you would complete a challenge, you would get those points to sort of upgrade your exosuit, which would affect how things would happen in the campaign. Like, for example, you could upgrade how quickly you reload guns, how quickly you aim down sights, resistance to explosives, flashes, and there was a lot of other things you could have upgraded. And I quite like that, because we'd never seen that before in a campaign before. It was something different, and it's fine in a campaign. I don't mind it, having upgrades like that. I thought it worked well. I quite liked it. And the other thing I'll talk about in the campaign is we had some good characters, but one character that stuck out in my mind in the campaign was Irons. I could just tell the first time we see him on the funeral scene at the beginning of the second mission. where you're at his son's funeral, I could just immediately tell there was something about him that we would have him as our enemy. He just struck me as quite an... that character that just was evil in a way. You could sense there was some hatred in him and some anger in him. And as the campaign got on, we wouldn't suspect it so much because, we're working for him, he's on our side, but then you just see the sort of power he's trying to possess for himself, how much of an evil character he does end up becoming. Like, he's obsessed with power. Like, everything needs to be his way, and I quite liked that. He was a good character, because I definitely liked the way how Sledgehammer portrayed him. He definitely, like I said, I could just tell there was something about him that would make him our number one enemy, and I was right. Just from that funeral scene, of just the anger within him. And then later on, he does become our number one enemy, the one we have to stop. Like, all the campaigns have their own number one enemy that we've got to stop in the campaign, and Irons was definitely the one to stop. Definitely liked how Sledgehammer portrayed him. He was a very good character. Definitely stuck out. And overall, the campaign I thought told a good story. And that's really all I want from a campaign, really. I want it to tell a good story. Because I've played campaigns in the past where there's just been some moments where I've just really not liked at all. And where I just thought, well, why does that happen? Or other times where I'm just bored of playing the story. It just didn't interest me as much. Even though I finished all of the campaign stories through from COD 4, obviously through to Advanced Warfare. There's only been a couple of times where I've experienced something like that, where I thought that shouldn't have happened in the story, or I just got bored because I've just lost interest in the story at that point. That's only happened a couple of times. But that didn't happen with Advanced Warfare. It told a good story, and that's just what I wanted it to do. It kept me entertained. I was happy to play through it. So overall, I think Sledgehammer did a very good job with the campaign for this game. So, good campaign. I enjoyed it. Next, we'll talk about the Exo Survival mode. Now, this is where I suppose, find something wrong with the game, I guess. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Exo Survival. I mean, I just wasn't really much of a fan of it, if I'm honest. I found it okay. I mean, it did kind of feel a little bit like the survival we had in Modern Warfare 3 with some aspects, but I just felt it just wasn't as fun as the Modern Warfare 3 survival. If I had to choose between the two survivals, I'd definitely play Modern Warfare 3 survival. Every time. I don't know what it was about it, but I just didn't find it as enjoyable as the Exo Survival. It was okay, but nothing too special. I remember, I haven't played Exo Survival in a long time, but I remember I mainly played it to get the trophies in it. So I like collecting trophies, I like completing that sort of thing in a game, getting the trophies. But I remember as soon as I got the very last one, I have not touched Exo Survival since, because I found it boring afterwards. Just didn't keep my interest. That's my honest truth about it. Exo Survival's okay, but compared to the other survival we had in Modern Warfare 3, in my opinion, was a better game for having survival in it. Just didn't enjoy it as much. But the one thing I will say that I definitely liked about Exo Survival is the way they teased about Exo Zombies. Because on the very last map you unlock, which is Riot, if you get to round 10, it's different. Normally in the other maps, round 10 is a normal round, and then you just keep going up and up. But in Exo Survival Riot's map, that's where it's different, because that's where they basically teased about zombies that would eventually be coming into the game, because I remember playing it and experiencing it specifically, that the whole setting sort of changed. It wasn't about just a normal survival anymore. Everything, it's like I don't remember how it went now, but I remember it was a situation where everything had just gone completely wrong, and I remember you would hear Gideon's voice trying to contact people that were still alive and around, saying, is anyone else down there? Because I think like the Manticore bomb dropped or something, and then eventually these zombies just start appearing out of nowhere, and then you're given a short amount of time without having a gun, then you eventually get a gun, you've got to survive, and then eventually you can escape. And I thought that was really good. That's the one thing I definitely liked about Exo Survival, was that round 10 on Riot, and then obviously they teased about the old Exo Zombies coming into the game, and that is what we're going to move on to next. And that's going to be the last point I'll talk about in this video, so that it doesn't become one massive long video on a review, because the multiplayer is going to be the aspect of the game that I'm going to be talking about the most, because I've got a lot of points to talk about. But moving on to Exo Zombies, which of course was added in the first DLC. And of course we've got 4 maps, 4 DLCs, 4 maps. I thought Exo Zombies was very good. I thought it was very entertaining, and that's what I suppose the game needed, I think, because Exo Survival didn't catch my interest as much, but Exo Zombies sure did. I don't know too much really about the characters. I mean, I like the characters are alright. I don't really know too much of their story. I know on the 3rd map, one of the characters gets killed, and then he ends up sort of becoming like your enemy to like fight in the map 3 and 4. But I mean, I have watched the cutscenes of Exo Zombies and all the characters and what happens from each of the stages that they move on from map to map. They're pretty cool. But for me, it was just more focusing about just playing the zombie mode with the exosuits and see how that would feel. And, you know, I liked it. And I like all the maps. There's nothing I sort of dislike about any of the maps. But I haven't played map 3 and map 4 that much. But at the time of me recording this video, if I had to rate all 4 of the maps, this is the way I'd rate them. I'd rate, do it like a 1 to 4 rating, 1 being the best and then 4 being, you know, the one that's not so good. But I don't really hate any of the maps, but this is the way I'd rate them in just terms of how much I quite like them. I'd say Infection, the 2nd map we got, would be my favourite. Close second would definitely be Carrier, the 3rd one we got. Then the 1st map we got, going 3rd place, which is Outbreak, and then the last map, Descent, which is the 4th map we got in 4th place. Descent is the one I've played the least, so that's why I've just put it down there. I'm sure as soon as I play more of Exo Zombies, especially map 3 and 4, I'm sure that would definitely change, but that's how I'd rate them for now anyway. I like all the maps, but the one thing I would say that I'm possibly not too sure about on map 4 is obviously the sort of boss fight level that you had, because when you're playing that on your own and you don't know really what's going on, it took me a little bit of time to try and figure out how you actually pass that and actually get onto the normal rounds of just surviving against zombies. I'm sure if I had other people with me, it'd probably be a lot easier and a bit more enjoyable. I mean, it's okay. I'm just not too sure if I like it that much. I mean, the map is good, and the one thing I definitely like about the 4th map is the fact you get a Goliath suit, and you can use that to fight against zombies. I think that's pretty damn cool. I definitely like that a lot. Yeah, the only one sort of thing I'm not too sure about is obviously fighting Oz on on the 4th map. That's the one I'm just a bit not too sure if I'm too like keen on it, I suppose. Nice idea, obviously, but I'm sure maybe if I play it a bit more and then get a bit more used to it, and obviously if I have other people with me, I'm sure it'd be a bit better. But I definitely like the Goliath suit they put in on the 4th map, as well as on map 3 and 4. They added in some extra bonuses. Like we had, for example, we've already had multiplier, which is like double points. We've already had fully reloaded, like max ammo. Like the normal ones, we have like the normal insta kill, double points, max ammo. Then they added in a couple of new ones. I definitely like the new open fire bonus, where you can just literally shoot your gun off for a short amount of time, and you won't need to reload. I definitely like that. And the other one I like, I can't remember the name of it, but I like the other one where for like a short amount of time, any zombie that touches you will instantly die. I definitely like that bonus as well. So I like how they kind of not tried to make the other two zombie maps like the same as the previous two. They did try and change it up a little bit, and there's other little small things I liked about the other maps like 3 and 4 that they did to try and make it a bit more different, and I think that's good. But yeah, no, overall, for those 3 things I've stated, campaign was very good. Exo Survival, okay. It was okay. Not for me though, so I kind of got bored of it. Exo Zombies, very good, and I'm sure when I go back to play it a bit more at some point, I'll definitely get a bit more experience with map 3 and 4. I'm sure maybe the rating that I've rated the maps will change as well. But for now, that's going to conclude part 1 anyway of my review, thoughts and opinions about Advanced Warfare, because the next part 2, will be on multiplayer, and I've got a lot of things I'm going to talk about multiplayer, so I'm going to wrap off the first part here. So stay tuned obviously for part 2 where I talk about the multiplayer in this game. But anyway, for now anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the first part of my review of this game anyway, and if you've liked it, remember to give it a like rating and subscribe if you are new. And like I said, yes, stay tuned for the second part where I'll just talk about the multiplayer. But for now, it's goodbye from me. Stay tuned for part 2, and I shall see you all in my next video. So take care guys, and goodbye.